Camilla and William have a complicated relationship. According to author Christopher Anderson, he tolerates her. Camilla has always been a little afraid of William.
Ladies, have you noticed how the royal family seems so serene these days? But there's a hidden truth lurking behind those Windsor walls that no one saw coming this late summer of 2025. Prince William, the shining heir to the throne, suddenly finds himself the target in a shadowy battle. And his opponent? None other than Camilla, the woman who's never been content to stand in the throne's shadow, ready to wield the media as her weapon to seize power for herself. From a playful remark at a knighting ceremony to outright public jabs, the William-Camilla showdown grows fiercer, thrusting the royals into a media storm. And then, in a fit of uncontrolled rage, Camilla makes a move that leaves all of Windsor stunned. Will the throne's honor be preserved, or will it crumble under cold calculation? Stay tuned to uncover the heart of this story. On September 30th, 2025, the morning at Windsor dawned with brilliant golden sunlight stretching across the meticulously trimmed lawns, where flags bearing lions and crosses fluttered in the gentle autumn breeze. Windsor Castle, the enduring symbol of British sovereignty, wore an even more stately air than usual. Corridors lined with red carpets, deep green velvet curtains drawn taut, and crystal chandeliers casting a cool, proud glow. This wasn't just any ordinary day. It was one of the monarchy's most solemn events, a knighting ceremony, and the honoree was none other than the renowned actor Gary Oldman, the man who'd brought British cinema closer to the world. Outside the gates, long lines of reporters, photographers, and curious onlookers gathered, cameras at the ready, signs held high in support. International media from America, Europe, and Asia were all present, eager to witness the moment a national icon received one of the highest honors from the hand of the throne's heir. This crowd not only added to the excitement, but turned the ceremony into a political media focal point, where every gesture, glance, or casual word could spark global commentary. In the grand hall, William emerged, composed yet with eyes full of resolve. His royal blue uniform fit snugly, medals gleaming on his chest, each step underscoring the gravity of the ritual he was about to preside over. Charles sat in the place of honor, his face serene but clearly stepping back, allowing his son to take center stage. Anne sat beside him, watching intently, occasionally nodding subtly as if conveying quiet confidence. And across from them, Camilla sat rigidly upright, her eyes fixed intently, lips pressed tight, as if ready to scrutinize every last detail. The moment Gary Oldman stepped onto the podium, the hall erupted in thunderous applause. The actor, with his silver-streaked hair and weathered face, bowed slightly before William. The ceremony began. William raised the traditional sword, his movements precise yet graceful. The crowd fell silent, cameras panning to capture every beat. And then, in that peak of solemnity, William tilted his head, offered a faint smile, and uttered words that caught everyone off guard. "I just want to give you a good wash." Gary Oldman burst into laughter, bowing deeper in thanks, while a few chuckles rippled through the hall. International guests cracked smiles, and some reporters quickly noted the expression, knowing it would be the highlight of tonight's news. But not everyone was pleased. Camilla, in her turquoise dress, furrowed her brow visibly, her hands clasped together, shaking her head as if unable to accept it. To her, the sanctity of a national ritual had been shattered by humor she deemed ridiculous. The ceremony concluded amid majestic music and applause, with William bestowing the official title and Oldman stepping down amid a blaze of camera flashes. The hall emptied gradually, whispers buzzing. Some praised William for infusing warmth, turning a rigid ritual into something approachable. But others murmured that the prince had been too playful, that his words had undermined the required solemnity of a knighting. Just hours later, online headlines exploded. William turns knighting into a joke? Supporters call it friendly, critics see farce. On Twitter, the hashtag #GoodWash went viral, splitting opinions. One side posting photos of William smiling with Oldman, praising it as warm and human. The other criticizing it as lacking poise, tarnishing tradition. Camilla, seasoned in media manipulation, saw her chance. She flashed a cold smile, leaning toward a trusted reporter nearby, whispering pointedly, "He can make the room laugh, but the throne isn't a place for jokes." Such whispers didn't stop at one reporter. Throughout the post-ceremony tea, Camilla moved deftly among groups of guests, targeting those who could amplify the news. With a tone half sharing, half accusatory, she planted seeds of doubt. That William was too childish. That the heir needs composure, not jests. By afternoon's end, anonymous articles surfaced, sharper in tone. Prince William, too frivolous for future king? The sources, vaguely cited, hinted at figures present in Windsor's hall. Clearly, the trail led back to Camilla's camp. William, retreating to his private chambers in the castle, maintained his outward calm, but inwardly pondered. He knew his jest was meant to foster warmth, yet it was being weaponized against him. The press seized the opportunity, and Camilla, he knew, wouldn't stop there. As night fell, Windsor glowed with golden light from hundreds of windows. But in a corner room of the castle, Camilla sat at her vanity, removing her jewelry, her eyes gleaming with cold calculation. She told herself that this minor scandal was enough to launch a long-term campaign. If the public was starting to doubt William, she'd do everything to turn that doubt into firm belief that he was unworthy. And so, while the public outside chuckled over #sign Goodwash, inside Windsor, a covert plan was sown, the seed of a fierce confrontation about to erupt. The Windsor afternoon still brimmed with golden light, the last rays slanting through the tall glass windows of the grand hall where the post-knighting reception unfolded. The atmosphere seemed more relaxed after the formal ritual, with wine glasses clinking in guests' hands, string music echoing softly, interspersed with bursts of laughter as diplomats, actors, and nobility unwound. But beneath that veneer of elegance, an undercurrent of tension was rising, centered squarely between William and Camilla. William entered the hall with an easy grace, his tall frame and calm face, suggesting the outside articles and gossip hadn't fazed him. He navigated the chatting groups, offering measured smiles and bows. Gary Oldman, still buoyant from his morning honor, stood amid the crowd and raised a glass in thanks to William. The two shared warm words, earning admiration from onlookers for the young prince. But in a corner, Camilla's sharp eyes followed, her lips curling into an enigmatic smile. Soon enough, fate seemed to orchestrate their encounter. As William approached the bar, Camilla appeared suddenly, poised and haughty, her head held high, her blonde hair meticulously styled and shimmering under the chandeliers. Without preamble, she spoke in a low, raspy but cutting voice, like a chilled blade. "You've turned the throne into a farce, William." The words weren't loud, but clear enough for nearby ears to catch and flinch. The hall paused for a beat, not from halted music or laughter, but from the palpable clash. William tilted his head slightly, meeting her gaze steadily, then replied in a composed tone laced with implication. Better a farce than someone exploiting the throne to manipulate everyone. William's words were measured, yet weighted, causing a few guests to hold their breath. Silence stretched between them, like a thin glass wall vibrating on the brink of shattering. Camilla frowned, her hand tightening subtly on her glass, while William stood firm, his eyes unyielding. From afar, Charles noticed the exchange. He set down his glass, watching but not intervening. His silence felt both strategic and helpless. He knew the rift between his wife and son couldn't be mended with mere words. Meanwhile, Anne, seated in the back row, leaned forward, her eyes on William with supportive intent. She held her tongue for now, but inwardly resolved to warn him after the party, that he must brace for more dangerous undercurrents. The ambiance gradually resumed with music and chatter, but witnesses to that moment knew it wasn't just a jab. It was the opening salvo in a prolonged palace war. As predicted, hours after the reception ended, anonymous articles emerged. A notorious tabloid with ties to Camilla's circle splashed a bold headline on its front page. "Does Prince William have the fortitude to be king?" The piece avoided naming sources but vaguely alluded to royal insiders worried about William's playful nature and lack of composure. In the comments sections, social media users shared fervently, debating intensely. One side argued William was approachable, breathing new life into the throne. The other insisted, the throne doesn't need a jester. The hashtag Serious King arose to counter Goodwash, spreading across social media. Public opinion split, and everyone knew the invisible hand pushing the narrative further was Camilla's. Meanwhile, William sat in his Windsor study, his computer screen flashing with updating news feeds. He read silently, his expression neutral. But inside, a flame of determination ignited. He understood Camilla was playing a media chess game, and without preparation, he'd remain on the defensive. His morning jest had been twisted into a spear, wielded by none other than his stepmother. That evening, Anne visited William's room. She closed the door, approached, and placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes stern. "Brother, I saw Camilla's look today. She won't stop. Prepare yourself, for this is just the beginning." William nodded slightly, his eyes resolute. He knew Anne, straightforward and experienced, never spoke without certainty. Her warning was like a call to action, that he couldn't just wait for the storm to pass. In the following days, media coverage exploded, news appearing at a relentless pace. Some political commentators praised William's youthful wit as an asset, while others worried he lacked the mettle for throne pressures. These opinions didn't arise organically. Behind them were whispered phone calls, brief but loaded meetings that Camilla artfully orchestrated. Camilla frequently attended small gatherings, meeting friendly press, dropping subtle hints. "I'm concerned William is too impulsive. A king must maintain composure." And here, those trailing sentences sparked imaginations, turning into bold headlines. She knew the power of words, using them like a sharp knife to slowly erode William's image. Charles maintained his silence. He neither defended William publicly nor shielded Camilla. But that quiet only fueled more doubt. Did the king himself lack faith in his son? Those voids expanded, giving Camilla room to advance her plans. One afternoon, seated before a stack of delivered newspapers at the palace, William flipped through pages highlighting his supposed lack of seriousness. He set the paper down, drawing a deep breath. In that moment, he realized that allowing Camilla to manipulate unchecked would erode his heir image, until one day the public truly believed he lacked fortitude. He stood, walking to the window, gazing at Windsor's lawns turning to twilight hues. Birds flew overhead, wind rustling ancient trees. William closed his eyes briefly, then opened them with determined resolve. I can't let her set up more media traps. I must track Camilla's every move. It wasn't just self-talk. It was a decision, one that would shift the entire landscape of the impending media war. The atmosphere at Windsor lingered unsettled after Gary Oldman's knighting. British media delved relentlessly into William's good wash quip, seemingly harmless at the time. In mainstream papers, editorials dissected it. One side hailed William as a fresh breeze for the monarchy. The other condemned immaturity in a national right. On TV, anchors debated endlessly, analyzing body language, glances, even the hall's chuckles. Social media divided into clear camps, with hashtag #GoodWash battling hashtag #SeriousKing. Each side hurling thousands of comments, polarizing public opinion further. In this climate, Camilla spotted her golden opportunity. She persisted in whispering to trusted writers, ensuring anonymous royal insider articles appeared regularly. Small tidbits wove into a larger narrative. William, charming as he was, lacked the fortitude and composure for the throne. This drip feed was like steady water droplets, corroding the image William had built. The climax arrived that weekend, when Windsor hosted a modest reception for lingering international guests post-ceremony. It was a brief affair, light on protocol, mainly to showcase royal hospitality. The large reception room gleamed under crystal chandeliers, tables laden with wines, English teas, and traditional sweets. Guests chatted politely, laughter filling the air. But beneath the glamour, tension simmered unnamed. William entered the room, composed but alert, as if braced for anything. As he moved through the crowd, bowing to each guest, his gaze paused on a corner, where Camilla stood beside a familiar reporter. They whispered, half open, half secret. Her gestures, the light touch on the journalist's elbow, the head tilt, lips moving, all radiated calculation, as if she wanted outsiders to notice. William clenched his fist subtly, maintaining calm, then approached directly. Camilla sensed William's presence, flashing a bitter smile, turning as if awaiting this very moment. She didn't wait for him to speak, launching first. The whole country's still laughing at your words. Surely the throne will wash you clean first. Her tone emphasized each word, dropping like stones on cold marble. Nearby guests halted conversations instinctively, eyes turning to the central figures. William drew a deep breath, keeping his voice steady but firm, retorting, "If the throne needs washing, the first to be cleansed isn't me." The words sliced through the air like a sword. Camilla paused briefly, then her eyes flashed with fury. Surrounding guests shivered, realizing this verbal spar was no jest, but a public airing of royal discord. Camilla gripped her wineglass tighter, her voice rising with contempt. "You're still just a child, not mature enough to succeed. The throne needs a steady hand, not someone who jests for the cameras." William stepped forward, eyes unflinching, his voice like steel. "And the throne doesn't need someone using power to sully it. History won't forgive those who turn sanctity into a tool for personal ambition." The words shattered the room's silence. Some international guests exchanged glances. A few phones rose, digital instinct to capture potential headlines. Camilla's face flushed red, her breathing ragged. The composure she'd long maintained crumbled. In an uncontrolled rage, she suddenly flung her red wine straight at William's face. The liquid splashed, staining his royal blue jacket. The room froze in shock. For those seconds, time stood still. Music halted, laughter vanished, leaving only gasps and utter astonishment. William remained standing, wine dripping from his shoulder, but his eyes locked on Camilla, unafraid. His calm, in stark contrast to her outburst, painted a vivid opposition. A few guests covered their mouths in horror, others hastily filmed. Cameras panned swiftly, flashes firing. An unimaginable moment was captured, and destined never to be buried. Camilla, as if suddenly aware of her action, stepped back half a pace. But it was too late. Her face showed raw anger, while William, poised amid the storm, became the contrasting icon. An advisor rushed forward in panic, offering a napkin to William. But he shook his head gently, wiping away a lingering drop, then straightened and left the room. He said nothing more, knowing it was enough. The truth would echo on its own. Just hours later, news detonated. Online outlets raced with hot headlines. Royal rift erupts at Windsor. William and Camilla clash openly. Shocking moment. Camilla splashes wine on William before international guests. Viral video. Future throne and the Queen's loss of control. The clip, under a minute, spread like wildfire on social media. In it, Camilla's furious splash contrasted with William's serene gaze. The opposition stirred the public. One side condemned Camilla for lacking self-control, embarrassing the monarchy. The other sympathized with William as calm in the storm. Evening TV shows buzzed with questions. What's happening inside Windsor? Have internal cracks gone too far? Political commentators called it unprecedented in modern history, where a queen consort publicly loses control with the heir. The nation reeled, and in that moment, William knew. The battle with Camilla was no longer covert. It had exploded, publicly, with no turning back. The news of Camilla splashing wine on William hadn't even settled when Windsor Palace faced immense pressure from international media. Top European and American papers ran headlines: Civil War in Windsor Palace, Britain's throne cracks. Viral clips hit millions of views in hours, symbolizing internal division. In this chaos, William realized silence would only deepen the rift. He needed to step forward, clarify to the public, prove not just his innocence, but his integrity. 3 days later, in St. George's Hall, a historic press conference convened. Hundreds of reporters crammed in, cameras in rows, flashes incessant. In the front row, Charles sat center, his face impassive. Camilla sat to his right, in a dark cloak, posture rigid, but eyes defiant. Anne arrived later, sitting left of William, her expression resolute. All eyes focused on the centerpiece, William. He stood at the podium, hands on a thick dossier, voice deep but clear. I know the public is wondering, and media is flooded with false rumors. Today I'll reveal everything. This isn't just my issue. It's the honor of the monarchy, the honor of the nation. The hall was deathly quiet. William proceeded, each word deliberate and coherent, that over months, Camilla had repeatedly exploited her royal status to manipulate opinion, whispering to press, fabricating stories to undermine him. A large screen behind lit up, displaying evidence sequentially, copied emails from Camilla's close advisor to journalists, audio of a secret conversation where Camilla ordered, "Make the public believe William is too impulsive to be king." And finally, testimony from a loyal servant detailing Camilla's frequent private summons of reporters to direct news. Camilla shot to her feet, voice shrill. "These are all fabricated. You've been manipulated by those seeking to divide the royals." But as she spoke, her eyes flustered, hands trembling at hearing her own voice on the recording. Her denial only highlighted her contradiction. Anne then rose, her voice steely, echoing through the room. "Truth can't be hidden. I've witnessed Camilla's repeated attempts to smear William, and I affirm the monarchy needs transparency. No one can place personal gain above collective honor." The hall buzzed with murmurs, reporters scribbling frantically, cameras rolling. Camilla tried interrupting, but was drowned in the noise. The peak came when William raised the final dossier, detailed financial logs. It showed ambiguous expenditures matching Times' unfavorable articles on William appeared. He held the papers high, voice firm. "This is the final proof. I have nothing more to say. The truth speaks for itself." Camilla went still. She sat, face pale, eyes distant. Press snapped photos, headlines seemingly preordained. Battle lines in the palace exposed. Charles remained silent, his cold eyes on Camilla. No defense, no protective gesture. In that moment, Camilla knew she was utterly isolated. As the press conference ended, lights dimmed, the reporter throng dispersed in a news frenzy, and Windsor sank into a heavy evening. Camilla returned to her private room. She stood before the mirror, removing her glittering jewelry, gazing at her weary face etched with lines. In the soft, golden lamplight, her eyes reflected an indescribable bitterness. The schemes, the whispers, the articles, all replayed like a reversed film. She realized her calculations had inadvertently elevated William, while dragging her into an inescapable abyss. Sitting alone in the dim room, she heard distant cheers from the streets outside. They weren't for her, but for William. Hashtag justice. For William flooded social media, articles praising him as the throne's shining symbol appearing en masse. She, once holding shadowy power, now faced only solitude. Light streamed through the window, but she turned away, as if unwilling to face the world beyond. Meanwhile, William entered his study, sitting in silence. He knew he'd won, but his heart held no joy. He thought inwardly, "I've just defeated someone in my family. That's not victory. It's duty." Those words went unspoken, but etched in his mind. A mix of remorse and pride, for he knew this choice was essential for the throne's future. That night, William stepped onto the balcony. Below, crowds gathered, waving flags, chanting his name. Cameras aimed upward, flashes blazing. He forced a smile, raising a hand in greeting. But it was strained, for in his heart he knew a crack had appeared in the palace, a crack that would haunt forever. On the other side, Camilla sat motionless in the dark, the cheers echoing against Windsor's thick walls. A stark contrast, light and shadow, faith and decline. Both coexisted that night, signaling the monarchy's profound divide. What do you think about Camilla's shocking outburst and her calculated schemes against William? Does it evoke a sense of betrayal, or perhaps a cautionary tale about the perils of unchecked ambition in any family dynamic? And what lessons does this royal drama impart to us, reminding that true leadership shines through integrity and composure, even in the face of personal attacks, ultimately strengthening the bonds of trust with those we hold dear? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.